Hey everybody, we have a lot to talk about this week. There's a lot of people doing some really screwed up things right now, including our president. Big surprise. But there's some people doing some pretty cool things too, so I want to talk about them in a new segment I call Heroes of the Week. More on that in a little bit. Let's start the show. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God, there's just you and I. All right, everybody, welcome to There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die. I am your host, Daniel Cartier. I'm a gay liberal atheist living in the Bible Belt. Basically, I'm a MAGA person's worst nightmare. But if you are a MAGA person and you've come here wanting to hate the podcast, I just want to say I'm glad you're here. I don't hate you back because that's just not the way I've been designed. I probably do hate your politics because they kind of friggin' suck, but I still love you as a person because that's just the way I am. But whatever. I mean, here's my kind of dumb hope, and I know it's kind of silly and probably unrealistic, but I admittedly am an idealist. Okay, so you're a MAGA person or you're like some right-wing Christian person. They're basically the same thing at this point. Or you're like somebody who like just hates liberal people or gay people or whatever. So you come to my podcast and you're like, man, this guy says there is no God and we're all going to die. Fuck him. And so you come here like wanting to hate me. That's great. I'm glad you're here anyways. It helps my algorithms. I won't lie. That's pretty awesome. But also, maybe something I say might resonate with you. I doubt it. Because I'm just some douchebag online, like you don't know me. And so I know that when strangers from the opposite side of the aisle try to argue with me online, I don't think like somebody like that, they would really have any sway over my beliefs. Just like if you're a MAGA person and you're coming to my podcast all revved up to hate me and hate everything I'm saying, I don't really think anything I'm saying is going to sway you. But here's my hope. My hope is that maybe somebody in your life, be it a niece or a nephew or some neighbor that you think is pretty cool, and you know that they're liberal, but you know them personally, so you like them. Maybe someday they're going to say something to you that maybe cracks the shell a little bit and lets some light in and lets the light kind of infiltrate all the Fox News bullshit that you've been fed. And, maybe years down the road, you will have become a whole new person, because I've seen it happen, actually. I've seen people go from being these super alt-right people to being extremely open-minded. I've actually shared about it here on the podcast. So that's my hope for you. But you're welcome to stay and hate this entire podcast. I welcome you here. This is like me inviting you into my home. I'm glad you're here anyways, even if you don't like anything I'm about to say. And I am about to say some stuff. All right, let's see what's happening in the news.
X-ray, read all about it. We're in the news, we're in the news. X-ray, read all about it. We're in the news, we're in the news. X-ray, read all about it. X-ray, read all about it. Yes, sir, we're in the news.
All right, well, there's a bunch of stuff going on right now in the news. Basically, Donald Trump just announced he's going to deploy the National Guard to Washington, D.C. According to him, Washington, D.C. is just this hotbed of crime right now, even though violent crime is at a 30-year low. He's using this isolated attack on a Doge employee as an excuse, basically, to drum up fear among his base. Essentially, people who don't live in Washington, D.C., like all his MAGA supporters who live in places like Idaho and Montana and out in the Midwest, he basically can say anything to them and they believe it. And then you get people like this fucking douchebag. His deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, basically said Washington is more violent than Baghdad. Meanwhile, again, crime is at a 30-year low, violent crime. The sad thing about this is that I think that this is all just planned anyways. I mean, I think that this was always the plan. When you look at Project 2025, their plan was basically to take over everything. Trump did say something very chilling. He said, this will go further. We are starting strongly with DC. I don't know what the fuck he means by that. Does he mean that later on they're going to deploy National Guard to New York or Baltimore or any other place, Detroit, and, just use any isolated incident and blow it out of proportion just so that they can start deploying the National Guard everywhere and militarize America? I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, but the thing that scares me about all this is that we know that Donald Trump, way back in 1990, admitted in an interview that he had read the writings of Adolf Hitler and admired a bunch of the tactics that Hitler used to get people to do what he wanted. And one of the main things that led to Nazis assuming power in Germany was this thing called I can never pronounce it. The Reichstag fire. The Reichstag fire. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But basically it was a fire that started in one of the government buildings. A lone communist, I think, had started it. But they used that as fodder to basically take over the entire country. So when I see Donald Trump deploying the National Guard to our nation's capital for bullshit reasons, the same capital that his rioters attacked and actually wound up killing police officers over Trump's phony stolen election charges, and where he actually watched it on TV and waited to deploy the National Guard. But now it's like this Doge employee gets attacked, and so, crime's rampant, even though it's at a 30-year low. And the mayor is like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't have this crime problem that you're claiming we have. And his chief of staff is saying it's more violent than Baghdad. I mean, it's such a bunch of bullshit. And the thing that's really sad to me is it's just obvious propaganda. And the only reason they're doing that is because I think they're viewing Washington, D.C. as a testing ground for assuming absolute power in an American city. Because if they can do it in Washington, D.C., well, then let's try it here. And let's try it over here. And let's try it over here. And apparently you can just use a bullshit reason to do it. You don't even have to have a real reason. You can just make up a fucking reason. This Doge employee got attacked. And maybe he did get attacked, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I don't advocate people getting attacked. I think Doge is a fucking stupid fucking shitty thing that, made people who had good jobs lose jobs. But that's another topic for another day. And it's certainly not getting rid of any government waste. We can see that. The deficit's actually going up. So, whatever. So yeah, that's happening right now. I'm not going to spend any more time on it because I think a lot of people are already reporting on it, but I wanted to at least acknowledge that it was happening. The other big thing that's happening right now is that in my great state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn is running for governor, and she is already the #1 candidate on the Republican side. So isn't that nice? I just want to give people who aren't familiar with the lovely Miss Blackburn, and yes, I am being sarcastic, she's a fucking embarrassment to this state. And that's not saying much because, Tennessee is, it is what it is. She's a member of the Tea Party. She opposes abortion. She opposes same-sex marriage. She opposes the Affordable Care Act. She was a birther conspiracy theorist. The whole thing where they didn't believe that Obama was born in America. She was a big cheerleader for that. She's a climate change denier. She actually wants the government to know that couples are buying contraception. That's pretty fucked up. For all of you Tea Party patriots out there, isn't that kind of treading on you? I'm just saying, Republicans come up with all this stuff that is obviously trampling on people's civil liberties, and then you get this fucking Tea Party, and they're like, don't tread on me. It's like, what are you guys even talking about? Like, that is clearly treading on people. But apparently you don't have any problem with that. So, I don't know. You guys figure that out amongst yourselves. Of course, she was also a huge cheerleader of Trump's phony stolen election charges. We know that he lost in 2020, and yet he galvanized this crazy MAGA base to spread all these lies, and she was a huge proponent of that, and she was spreading all his lies for him with her ratty blonde hair. Yeah, she even said great things about the people who attacked our nation's capital. Yeah, she's just the worst. But she is the front runner for the Republican Party for governor of my state of Tennessee, and it's pretty fucking sad because she's such an embarrassment, and and she'll probably win, and that's the fucking scary thing. That is the truly scary thing. It frightens me to think that she could be governor of our state, but we shall see. You know, I'm an atheist and I don't believe in things like miracles, but maybe a miracle will happen. And maybe that miracle happening will make me finally see the light. I doubt it, but whatever. Kim Davis is still in the news. I talked about her last week. She's bringing her case to the Supreme Court. She didn't want to grant gay couples marriage licenses back in 2015 when marriage was legalized. And so she's just been bitching about that for the last 10 years. She seems, I guess, incapable of getting a life. And so she's been doing all that. And the Supreme Court now may hear her case. And it's really fucking scary because, you know, 6 very conservative Supreme Court justices, many of them appointed by a convicted felon and sexual predator and friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, Supreme Court justices who had been appointed by that guy could be the ones to hear this woman's case and, as a result, overturn the marriage equality that my gay community has fought for my entire life. It got legalized when I was 46. I'm 56 now, and I'm very grateful that it was legalized. I'm not married, but at some point we'd like to get married, and I don't see how our marriage would affect Kim Davis or any fucking Christian conservatives out there. We're not inviting you into our marriage because, you know, we don't want you in our marriage. So, you know, it's pretty fucked up. Again, the don't tread on me crowd loves to tread on people. Isn't that funny? The hypocrisy it's head scratching. I'm scratching my head right now. But anyways, so she's still doing her little Kim Davis song and dance, her little homophobic fucking bullshit. And we'll see what happens. You know, anybody who's a consenting adult should be able to marry another consenting adult. They both are into each other. Who the fuck cares? Apparently she does because of Jesus. Being gay is not a choice, but choosing to interpret the Bible a certain way is a choice. I'll just leave it there because other people choose to interpret the Bible in a very loving and accepting way and think gays should be allowed to get married. So explain that to me. You know, if your fucking religion has certain people thinking it means this and certain people thinking it means that, maybe you're the ones with the problem, not us. I'm sorry. I like dudes. No offense to you if you're a woman. I think you're beautiful, but like when I see a dude, that's what turns me on. Even when I was a little kid. I shared this last week, I think. My first crush was Sean Cassidy when I was 8 years old. You know, so I mean, explain that to me. Anyways, I'm getting off the topic right now, but sometimes that's what makes this podcast interesting. All right, so now I want to talk about the most troubling news story, for me at least. It has to do with our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Our tax dollars pay his salary. He's the guy with all the white power tattoos. He's been sharing all these posts from this Idaho-based evangelical pastor named Douglas Wilson. Okay, I want to just tell you who this Douglas Wilson guy is and why it bothers me that our Secretary of Defense is sharing his posts, and that's just supposed to be normal, I guess. So this guy, Douglas Wilson, this is what he believes. Now I'm paraphrasing. I've got this from certain news organizations, and I'm just going to read what I copied and pasted here. But this is from, you know, like CNN and the BBC and everything. Pastor Douglas Wilson is a self-described Christian nationalist pastor who has built his evangelical church in Moscow, Idaho, into what's now an international network of more than 150 churches, as well as Christian schools, a college, and a publishing company. So this guy's, his reach is out there, and now he has our Secretary of Defense reposting his sermons. He also has written in his books and all his blog posts and everything else that this pastor puts out. He advocates for the idea that America should, quote unquote, adopt a Christian theocracy and adhere to a biblical interpretation of society. The new church in Washington is part of that mission. Okay, so the other thing that's happened is now this church has a branch in Washington, D.C., and Pete Hegseth is attending it with his kids and his family. So he definitely supports this pastor. Here's some of the other stuff that this pastor believes. Pastor Wilson believes in a patriarchal society. Women are expected to submit to their husbands. Women are banned from leadership positions in his church. He also supports repealing the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote. And our Secretary of Defense is reposting his stuff. And it's supposed to be normal. And I don't know, do you think that's normal? I think that's fucked up. That a pastor who thinks women shouldn't even have the right to vote and they should just be subservient to their husband, our Secretary of Defense, who has white power tattoos all over himself, is reposting this guy's stuff and going to the fucking guy's church. This is the thing that bothers me. This is not normal. This is fucked up. But that's not all that this pastor believes. He, obviously wants to outlaw abortion, a woman's right to choose. And then, of course, for people like me, he thinks homosexuality, not only should we not be able to get married, but just the fact that I'm gay should make me a criminal. Again, I've been gay my whole fucking life. So apparently I was born a criminal. I had a fucking crush on Sean Cassidy when I was 8 years old. So what you're telling me is when I was 8 years old and I had a crush on Sean Cassidy when I probably should have had a crush on, I don't know, Farrah Fawcett or Cheryl Ladd, I'm dating myself. When I was 8 years old, I was like 1977, 1976. So Sean Cassidy, he was a big deal then. He was basically like Justin Bieber is now, I guess. I don't know who the kids like now because I'm old. But yeah, I had a crush on Sean Cassidy. So you're telling me that at 8 years old, I was already like this criminal for having these gay thoughts. And I didn't even know what gay sex was. I just knew that I was attracted to this pop idol the way that 8-year-old and 9-year-old girls were attracted to New Kids on the Block or later on the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or again, friggin' Justin Bieber, I think when young girls are jumping up and down and they're all excited about them, they're just thinking oh my God, he's so cute. He's so cute. I'm so in love with him. And when I say that I had a crush on Sean Cassidy, that was what my crush was like. It wasn't even a sexual thing. I just knew that that was kind of a foreshadowing of you know what? You're going to be attracted to dudes your whole life. That's going to be the thing that excites you. And later on when I actually understood what sex was, I found myself having sexual thoughts about guys. And I've shared about this many times. I was really freaked out when I realized, oh my God, I am attracted to dudes. And yeah, I tried to kill myself. I developed a really bad drinking problem, drug problem. I felt like an outcast. You had the churches saying that homosexuals were perverts and sinners, and people like Jesse Helms saying AIDS was God's way of punishing gay people. What kid would choose to be that thing that everybody was demonizing? Kids, they want to fit in, and I desperately wanted to fit in. My point is that this guy wants to criminalize homosexuals, and our defense secretary that my tax dollars pay for with all his little white power tattoos is reposting this guy's stuff like it's normal. And that bothers me. So basically, there's no question that people like this pastor have always existed. There's always been these wingnuts on the fringes of religion that, hate the homosexual and all this stuff. But the scary thing is, this guy has prominent members of the Trump administration reposting his stuff, singing his praises, going to his church, bringing their kids, bringing their wife, and basically co-signing all this guy's bullshit. I have a problem with that. I really do. That scares the flying fuck out of me. And it should scare anybody who cares about decency, compassion, equality, empathy, kindness. I shared about this last week. Empathy has become another sin in Christian nationalism. They actually view it as a weakness. So basically, according to Reverend Jennifer Butler, who is a progressive Christian, there are progressive religious people, and I love them. They are on our side. She's talking about this guy, Dennis Wilson, and his hateful church. They literally want to take over towns and cities. And so they're building a grassroots infrastructure to do that. And they have access to this administration. If you're gay, they want to criminalize LGBTQ people. You don't belong in this society. So, I don't know. I'm 56 years old. I've been here all my life. As far as I'm concerned, I am completely allowed to be in this society. I fucking pay taxes just like everybody else. You're going to tell me I don't belong in this society because, I don't know, I like dudes? That's fucked up. That's fucked up. And yeah, don't tread on me. I'm just going to fucking spit that right back at you because I'm feeling pretty fucking treaded on with these fucking people and our defense secretary spouting this guy's bullshit. Makes me feel pretty tread upon. In a passage from his 1999 book titled Fidelity, Wilson writes, "A man penetrates, conquers, colonizes plants. A woman receives, surrenders, accepts." Let me read that again. He says, a man penetrates, conquers, colonizes plants. A woman receives, surrenders, and accepts. Now, if you're a woman watching this, how does that make you feel? I'm not a woman, but it makes me feel disgusted, because what it's basically saying is that women are just second-class citizens. And this is the type of thing, like, it just fucking pisses me off. I think of all the amazing women I know, like the women who've been through so much fucking bullshit, or watching how shitty America treated Kamala Harris last year. Here she is, like the daughter of immigrants, self-made. Republicans were calling her a whore. They were saying that she was just a diversity hire, like that. She hadn't accomplished anything, even though she had this extensive career. Was she perfect? No, but no political candidate is perfect. But, they made it out to be like she was completely incompetent, which could be further from the truth. Oh, I didn't even get to his most controversial thing. His most controversial commentary is about slavery. In the 1990s, he co-wrote a book on slavery in the South, which included the claim slavery produced in the South a genuine affection between the races that we believe we can say has never existed in any nation before or since. I mean, that's what he said. He basically said that slavery brought about these races getting along, which is just fucking insane. Again, he advocates for ending legalized gay marriage and supports laws making homosexuality illegal, noting sodomy was banned in all 50 states when he started preaching in the 1970s. So, anti-sodomy laws, he wants to bring them back if you're caught even having gay sex. Yeah, I guess you could be jailed, you could be imprisoned, I don't know, maybe the death penalty. I don't know. It's pretty fucked up. So, we have this asshole saying all his bullshit things. We have Kim Davis going to the Supreme Court wanting to overturn gay marriage. We have Donald Trump sending the National Guard into Washington, D.C. on completely trumped up numbers, even though crime is at an all-time 30-year low in Washington, D.C. And we have our defense secretary reposting stuff from this pastor who thinks that just being gay should be criminal, that wives should be subservient to their husband, that women shouldn't have the right to vote, that abortion should be completely illegal, that slavery was this great thing for white and black people getting along. I'm just saying, if this doesn't scare you, then I don't know what the fuck will. And if you're a MAGA voter and you think I'm just this crazy liberal, I'm not making any of this up. This is all just stuff that's happening. This is not fake news. This is stuff that's really happening. It's well documented. And I get it. You're a MAGA voter. You're supposed to hate me because everything I represent is what you're supposedly against. But really, stop and think about it for a second. Put yourself in my shoes. How would you feel? As I've established already, I never chose to be gay. So how would you feel if you saw all this going on and you were me? I'm just going to leave it there. And I'm going to move on to something else. All right, let's move on. Move on to happier things. Let's do some self-promotion. Self-promotion, self-promotion. Look at all the good stuff that I'm doing well, girl. First things first, I'm always begging people to call up and leave voice messages that I can answer. It's my favorite part of the show, and we're going to be getting to some great voicemails. So speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all going to die. That address again, speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all going to die. Go there, press record, and tell me what's on your mind. You can ask me a question. You can rant about Donald Trump. You can rant about me. You can give me some fact about the universe that you find fascinating. I welcome all of it. Also, my acoustic album's done. It's going to be sent out at the end of August. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a musician and an artist, so you can go to my website, danielcartier.com. You can check out my music. You can check out my art. All my art benefits animal rescue and my handicapped dog pack. They require a lot of veterinary care, so all the money goes towards that. And the other thing is I'm actually going to be speaking in person in Nashville on August 23rd at 3 p.m. The Middle Tennessee Humanist Group has invited me to speak from 3 to 5 p.m. It's at the Greater Nashville Unitarian Universalist Church. It's located at 374 Hicks Road in Bellevue, Tennessee. I believe the event is free. I'll be talking about what prompted me to do this podcast. I might even be singing some songs. So, yeah. come on down. You can meet me in person, and it would be great to meet you. So that's enough promotion out of me. I can't stress enough how much I would love to get some more voicemails. I love getting the voicemails from you guys. So again, speakpipe.com/there is no God and we're all going to die. You can also find me on Facebook, and you can send me a voice memo using the Messenger app there. Find the There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die Facebook page, and you can just hit send message and then click the little microphone button, and you can send me a voice message that way. And I can respond to it here on the show. You can call up and say you hate me. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. I'm 56 years old. At best, I have 20 to 30 years left of this life. So I don't really give a flying fuck about pleasing everybody anymore. I'm saying what's on my mind. If you don't like it, that's fine. You can call up and share about how you don't like it, or how you don't like me, or how you don't like the fact that I'm gay. Or you can call up and say, Daniel, you're the most magnificent, adorable person in the world, and I love you. I welcome all of it. So, yeah, leave me a message. Anyways, now it's time for I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes.
I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. Yeah.
All right, so every week I choose an asshole, and I'm kind of a douchebag to them. The reason why I do this is because growing up gay, I was bullied my whole life, and so I refuse to be bullied anymore. So when I see somebody being an asshole, and there's always assholes, there's so many to choose from. I mean, I just listed off a bunch when I did the news, but I just choose one every week, and I basically just talk to them. I tell them what's on my mind. I tell them what I think of them. And so the winner of Asshole of the Week this week is... That wasn't much of a drum roll. Anyways, the winner of Asshole of the Week is an entire group of people. And I'm going to describe these people very quickly. It's all the people online, they're conservatives, who love to use that triggered meme. I know you know the one I'm talking about. It's the one where it's like this liberal woman with glasses, and she's like making this face. If you're listening, you can't see me make the face, but if you're watching on YouTube, she's going like she's really mad. And so they use this triggered meme all the time to piss off liberals. We'll see something really fucked up happening. You know, I don't know, like Trump and all his minions storming the Capitol over stolen election charges, or, you know, some homophobic pastors' sermons being reshared by our Secretary of Defense. I find that triggering. They'll see us like pointing out how fucked up this is, and their big comeback is triggered. Like, that's just gonna really hurt us. They're calling us out for being triggered. I want to talk to these people. So you're calling us triggered. You see a liberal online and they're complaining about Trump. They're complaining about homophobes. They're complaining about racists. They're complaining about all the fucked up things on the far right. And your brilliant response is to say that we're triggered. Well, that's just fucking adorable. That is so cute. You know what? I am fucking triggered. But there's a difference, because you guys get triggered too. You just don't want to admit it. And the difference is, the things we're triggered about are actually fucking horrifying things. The things you guys are triggered about, well, I'm going to read you a list. Here's the stuff we're triggered about. January 6th, the fact that our president used phony stolen election charges to have an angry mob go and attack our nation's capital. And then Americans still fucking voted him back into office. That's fucked up. And that triggers me. I admit it. The whole fact that there was a fake stolen election thing, and that it got shared everywhere, and Fox News reported it like it was real news, and that people like Marsha Blackburn cheerleaded it, and, you know, it's the same fucking lady who like was spreading birther conspiracy theories and all this other bullshit. Yeah, that triggers me. The war on marriage equality that takes away my right as a gay person. I'm sorry, but my civil liberties getting threatened, that triggers me. The war on a woman's right to choose, on her right as a human being to make her own choices about her body and whether or not she wants to have a child or not. And men making that decision for her, knowing full well that if men could get pregnant, we'd be fucking giving out abortions at Walmart, and the morning after pill would come in flavors like Extreme Ranch and Nacho Blast. You know, the fact that we want to control women as a society that way, I find that triggering. The fact that you guys are trying to gerrymander every fucking thing under the sun, all the bullshit that's happening in Texas, just so that you guys can stay in power because your ideas fucking suck, and so you have to gerrymander. I find that triggering. I also find the fact that we have a president in the White House who bragged about grabbing women by the pussy, and people with granddaughters and daughters and nieces and wives and female friends still fucking voted for him. I find that triggering. This same fucking douchebag calling Nazis nice people after the event in, I can't remember, it was Charleston, where a woman was killed because some fucking douchebag drove his car into protesters. You know, Trump said there was nice people on both sides. I find the fact that he said that triggering. I find the fact that we have ICE agents rounding up people left and right without any warrants, without any due cause, and putting them in a fucking dog kennel in the Everglades. And these Christian nationalist people taking selfies next to the alligator Alcatraz signs, I find that triggering. I find it fucking offensive. There's another word for triggered: being offended. All the stuff I listed, I find it really fucking offensive. And it makes me sick that you don't. That you think it's not triggering? But I'll go on, because there's more. I'm not even going to include the idiotic stuff like, you know, him renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, or hiring a fucking puppy killer like Kristi Noem into his administration. There's so much fucking stuff. And I could go on. Him colluding with a foreign power, which he did. And he did get impeached, by the way. And him getting convicted on all these sexual assault charges and you not caring. I find the fact that all this shit happens very triggering. But now let's talk about what triggers you guys, because you love to like make fun of the fact that we're triggered, even though what we get triggered over is real triggering stuff. It's offensive stuff. It's stuff that's so fucking horrible and shitty, and we have every right to get triggered by it. And saying that we shouldn't get triggered by it, fuck you. Fuck you, I'll get triggered all I fucking want. I'm proud that I'm triggered of it. It means my brain's working properly. I would be worried if I wasn't triggered by all that bullshit. The fact that you're not triggered by it makes me worried for you and the quality of your brain and the quality of your, I don't know, morals and ethics and ability to have compassion and understanding and caring and love and kindness. Is that dead in you? It seems like it is. Because you should be triggered by all that stuff. If you were a decent person, you would be triggered by all that stuff. So are you a decent person? I can't answer that for you. That's something you're going to have to figure out on your own. But I'll tell you the stuff that does trigger you, because thoughts and prayers, you do get triggered by some stuff. Like the war on Christmas. The war on Christmas. There's a war on Christmas. There's no fucking war on Christmas. I know Kirk Cameron wants you to believe there's a war on Christmas with his fucking horrible movie, Saving Christmas, and, you know, all the people who are like freaking out over a Starbucks cup and like all this other bullshit. And meanwhile, I've talked to all the other liberals. We do not give a shit about what you call Christmas. Call it Christmas. You know, whatever. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Who the fuck cares? We do not care what you call a holiday. We really don't. I'm so triggered by this war on Christmas, and I'm so triggered by the one transgender person on a beer can. Oh my God, they put a transgender person on one can of Bud Light. We have to boycott the whole company. We have to do something, because I'm triggered. I'm Kid Rock, and I'm shooting up a bunch of cans of Bud Light, and I'm crying because I'm so triggered, and he was literally crying. But yet we're the triggered ones. And I'm sorry, that's what you were triggered over? It's like one transgender person on one can of Bud Light. It's so fucking lame, you guys. And then, let's see what else. Oh, you know, like a gay couple kissing on a Hallmark movie channel, like one gay couple, you know, in a sea of Hallmark movies. And then there was like one movie that had a gay couple, and then that million moms freaked out and they got triggered because of the gay couple. Just like, what was it? The Johanna Gaines, or I can never pronounce her name, Joanna Gaines. The lady who does all the shiplap, she does all the interior decorating. They had a gay couple recently, and all the conservatives freaked out again, you know. Or what was it? Less than 10 transgender college students were playing sports out of like over 500,000. Less than 10. And look at how much that triggered you guys. Good Lord, we're still talking about that. And we're passing laws and anti-diversity things, all because of just like a handful of trans people who wanted to play sports. And they're not even winning all the sports. It's not like they just were automatically winning because they were trans, and yet you guys were so triggered by it. So basically, we're getting triggered by actual things that are affecting people's lives. I didn't even bring up like the people getting cut from Medicaid in order to pay for these tax cuts to billionaires, Trump's big, beautiful bill, all these tariffs that are just making groceries more expensive, but yet Trump is somehow this economic genius in your mind. So, excuse me for being triggered that his shitty policies are affecting my grocery prices. Yes, I find that triggering. No matter what he does, your blind allegiance to him, I find that triggering. I find it fucking scary. I don't get it at all. I do not see the appeal. I mean, I could not picture a less deserving person of worship than this fucking douchebag, and yet you guys worship him. I find that triggering. So yeah, I am a triggered liberal. I am that woman on that fucking meme whose looks like this. I am her, and I'm fucking proud to be her. For as long as you guys are pulling all this bullshit, I will be proud to be triggered because it means my brain's working properly. And the bullshit you guys are triggered over, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess, if you want to play the victim and say that there's this war on Christmas and, oh, there's a transgender person on a beer can and it's not even fucking affecting your life. You see, none of the stuff you guys get pissed off about even affects you. It's just stuff that you don't like. And I think you guys are jealous that you see other people actually being persecuted. And so you guys kind of want to be persecuted too. So you make up all this bullshit that isn't even persecuting you, but you say that it's persecuting you. Like even Kim Davis, triggered by gay people getting married. So she makes it all about herself and she can't do her fucking job that she was elected to do and that taxpayer dollars are paying her to do. And so what does she do? Now she's like bringing this fucking case back to the Supreme Court 10 years later. And yet we're the ones who are triggered? Bitch, please. I can't even. It's just so fucking ridiculous. So, yes, all the people who post those memes, the triggered meme of the lady with the glasses who looks all pissed off, you are our asshole of the week this week. Congratulations. And I stand by my case. I am proud to be triggered. Which brings me to somebody who did not win asshole of the week. Second place asshole.
This person won second place asshole. This person won second place asshole. This person won second place asshole. Yeah. It's an honor just to be nominated.
So the second place asshole this week is me, Daniel Cartier, the host of this podcast, There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die. So here's why I chose myself to be the second place asshole this week. I'm just noticing that I want to think of myself as this really loving person. And for the most part, I am. Like, as I've shared in previous episodes, I have friends across the board. I have conservative friends. I have Christian friends. I have Muslim friends. I have friends of all different faiths. I'm an atheist. As you know, I'm very liberal. And although I don't agree with a lot of people on a lot of things, I still value people for who they are. And I guess I chose myself as second place asshole because lately, with all the stuff that's been happening, I find myself feeling some very assholey thoughts towards people, and I don't want to be that guy. I really don't. I want to be the love I want to see in the world. I want to be the change I want to see in the world, and I want to be the empathy and the understanding and the hand reaching across the aisle that I want to see in the world. But sometimes I do it better than other times, and lately I have not really been in that headspace. I've been really struggling. All the shit that I've been reading about lately, the attacks on marriage equality, Trump with all his bullshit with the National Guard and Pete Hegseth sharing this hateful pastors things, and so much more stuff. For all the love that I want to see in the world, sometimes I just can't help but feel hate in my heart, and it bothers me because it's this hatred that I don't want to feel. That's not who I want to be. I'm grateful that, for instance, a couple weekends ago when I went to that atheist convention, I actually got to hear a very progressive Christian speak. And she talked about how she used to basically be the equivalent of a MAGA person, of a Christian nationalist, and that she was against everything like gay marriage and a woman's right to choose and like pretty much like the whole smorgasbord of hateful things. And now she's very progressive and she's pro-equality and pro everything. I mean, her values have totally changed. And so I know it's possible for people's values to change. And I've seen it happen in my own life, because when I've been loving towards people who I disagree with, I've actually had people in my life do a complete turnaround on their views about, let's just say, gay marriage. I've actually had people say, you know what, Daniel, before I met you, I was not supportive of gay people. I would be nice to them to their face, but I didn't support their right to get married. I didn't support their equality. And now that I know you, I've really rethought the whole thing, and I actually am for gay marriage now, and I would be really pissed off if I saw somebody mistreating you or any of your gay friends. Those changes happen face to face. They happen by people communicating with each other in day-to-day life. It's not going to happen by me doing this podcast. I know that me doing this podcast, I'm probably going to be preaching to the converted, and then I'm going to have other people who disagree with me showing up just to get pissed off. And I get that. So again, if you are somebody who disagrees with everything I'm saying, all that stuff that I said triggered me, and I openly admit it does trigger me, it pains me to know that there's people who think it's all great stuff. But me hating people who think it's all great stuff, I know that that's not going to solve anything. So, yeah, I'm saying that I'm second place asshole this week because I think I still have some work to do in learning how to still be patient with people. I don't know if it's possible. And the other thing is, I don't know if there's time. We have this administration that's just trampling all over everything. And, I don't believe in God, so I don't believe that there's some big divine plan. I think right now what we're seeing is humans just being horrible humans, and then other humans trying to push back against that tide. And I think that it will play out the way it's going to play out. I don't think that the future's predetermined, because I don't believe in any of that. I'm an atheist. So I believe shit's just going to happen the way it's going to happen. And that fucking scares me, because growing up in this society where we think, oh, well, the good guy always wins in the end. Not necessarily. One could argue that Trump has won right now, and he's not a good guy. If this was the end, the good guy hasn't won yet. It's just food for thought. But I'm going to move on to a new segment. In all the badness, goodness still happens. So this is a new segment called Hero of the Week.
In a world of shit and people, you're a hero.
In a world of shitty people, you're a hero. I'm really excited about this because, there are a lot of people doing a lot of horrible things. But the comedian Elaine Boosler, who something just came up on my news feed and it intrigued me. She's been advocating for animal rights. So basically, something that's been very heartbreaking lately is that all the people who've been getting rounded up by ICE, guess what? A lot of them actually had pets. Like Trump doesn't think about this type of stuff. He's like one of the first presidents to never have a pet. I don't think he sees the value in having a pet. He's too fucking self-involved to have a pet. So, of course, he's not going to think like when he has his ICE agents rounding up what he views as illegal people. Like the last thing he's going to give a shit about is maybe they have a dog at home, Well, it turns out a lot of them did. Big surprise. And so Elaine Boosler just posted this thing on Facebook. My heart breaks even further for the deportees. We know what kind, loving people they are because my Tales of Joy movement is helping rescue the pets they were forced to abandon, and each pet is gentle, loving, sweet, and trained. So basically, she's been helping to rescue the pets of people who've been captured by ICE, and without fail, all these pets were very well taken care of, very gentle, very kind pets, which says a lot about the people who are taking care of them, these illegal immigrants. Reminder, a lot of these people had been living peacefully in America for years, sometimes for decades. So you don't think they had pets and they had children who loved those pets and everything? So, Elaine, I can't wait to read more about what you're doing. I'm sure you'll never see this podcast, but I just wanted you to know that I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the fact that you're raising money for animals. I appreciate the fact that you are spreading awareness about the fact that there's animals that belong to these immigrants who were rounded up. Thank you for all you do, and I look forward to finding out more about it. But I just wanted to congratulate you on being my hero of the week. Something good amidst all the horribleness. We need more good people. And I have to believe that there's more good people out there. she has an organization that I didn't realize she's had this for 24 years, but it's called talesofjoy.net. I want to read just a little bit about what it is. Tales of Joy is celebrating 24 years. It's a nationwide and beyond not-for-profit animal rescue organization founded in 2001 by comedian, writer, and animal activist Elaine Boosler. It's all volunteer run. Basically, so if you want to go to talesofjoy.net, please go there. There's success stories that they have events, and you can donate to everything that they're doing. Again, that's talesofjoy.net, and it was this wonderful organization started by Elaine Boosler. So, Elaine, thank you so much for all you do. I'm excited to read more about your organization, and I'm very excited to donate to it and also to continue to spread the word for it. Anybody who's helping animals is a wonderful person in my book, so thank you. I think it's time to take some voicemails. Let's listen to some voicemails. Let's listen to some voicemails. Let's listen to some voicemails. Oh, yeah. All right, let's listen to some voicemails.
Sean calling from Texas, and I'm just wondering what you think. Like, because I consider myself liberal. I'm just wondering if you think there's any things that the liberals advocate for that actually, even though they're good things, what do you think are the biggest things that the right will look at and use as weapons against us, that the biggest things that we advocate for, that the right will use to galvanize their base, and do those things hurt us in the long run? I was just thinking about that. Okay, thanks.
Whew. That's a great question. Well, yeah, obviously there's a lot of things that the right loves to use to galvanize their base and demonize the left. The first thing that comes to mind, obviously, the whole, transgender witch hunt, gay marriage, a woman's right to choose, there's so many things that on the left that are important to us, basically individual freedoms, a person's right to be who they want to be, to love who they want to love. I don't know why the people on the right wing of the country waving their American flags and talking about freedom. But then when they see people who are actually living free lives, like loving who they want to love or being the gender that they want to be or whatever, suddenly it's like, not that type of freedom. We didn't mean that type of freedom. We meant our type of freedom where you are white, straight, Christian, and whatever. I mean, sorry, that's not freedom. It's like you want people to be something that they're not. I think that the main thing that works really well for right-wing politicians is anything where they can drag children into it. That's the thing that gets their panties in a bunch, is like, oh, the children, but what about the children? Like that, this whole thing of like, oh, kids are going to school a boy, but coming back a girl, when that's never actually happened. Like no kid has gotten a sex change from a school nurse. They're not giving sex changes in school. But yet I see people online who actually are parroting this false narrative. And I don't know where the fuck they heard it. But, stuff like that, it's a hard question for me to answer because it's all fucking lies that they're making up. It's not even stuff that we are saying. It's stuff that they're just fucking making up. And then it's being parroted by these bogus news organizations that aren't even reporting news. They're just reporting propaganda to get people to be pissed off at marginalized groups. Like, let's get pissed off at the transgender people now because they want to give all the kids sex changes, or let's get pissed off at the gays because they want to groom children, even though organized religion, no offense if your religion, grooms more children than anything else, I mean, you're telling a child when they're 3 and 4-year-olds that they were born sinners and that there's a place called hell they could go to. I mean, if that's not grooming a child, I don't know what the fuck is, But yeah, I think that the thing that works best on the right, it always comes down to like, oh, what about the children? As if everything revolves around that. I mean, it's like, meanwhile, kids are great for a second, but like, I'm not a big fan of kids. They've got their little fingers and like their germs and stuff. Anyways, it's a great question. It's a hard question for me to answer. I guess I didn't answer your question, and I apologize for that. But I do appreciate you calling, and please feel free to call back, and you can even let me know what you thought of my kind of non-answer. All right. What else?
Hey, Daniel. My question for you is, I always thought that, God is like in the trees, God is in babies, God is in dogs, nature. But as I get older, I'm starting to look at nature and just sort of like wonder at its just magnitude of craziness and beauty. Where do you think all that comes from? Is it just random, or do you believe in the Big Bang? Or I'm curious on your take on that, because as I get older, I'm starting to wonder if there is something behind everything.
Thank you so much for calling. That is a wonderful observation. Yeah, I believe in the Big Bang. I think that 14 billion years ago, give or take, this huge explosion happened, and I think it's still evolving. The reality of the Big Bang, it is magical in a way, even though it's all just science. This idea that this huge explosion happened and stars were formed, and then stars died, and then those things exploded, and then things just kept shooting off into the universe as the universe expanded, and stars were born and they died, and fragments of things were like just shooting everywhere. And then the sun was formed, and then all these things were spinning around the sun, and then over time they kind of clumped together, and then 4.6 billion years ago this clump of rocks formed, and then things were smashing into it, and it formed an atmosphere, and it's taken 4.6 billion years for us to get where we are right now. But I do kind of think it's all been random. As a hardcore atheist, I kind of think that we lucked out. We're here because we were the perfect distance from this sun, and we had enough stuff smashing into us to create an atmosphere, and that life was able to form. But I think that it's also formed elsewhere. I don't think we're the only planet with life. As we know, there are a couple trillion galaxies in our visible universe. Couple trillion. And within those, the amount of planets in our visible universe is more than grains of sand on the earth. To me, stuff like that is just crazy. And so our concept of some divine force, and hey, if there is a divine force behind everything, great. I mean, I guess I'll find out when I die. The great thing about being an atheist is, like, if I'm wrong, awesome. Like, I would love to be wrong. I'd love to be able to know that when I die, I go somewhere else and there's like all this bonus time, and that there's like this magical force behind everything. Like, I would love to be able to believe that. I have a hard time with it only because I'm such a literalist. And it can be annoying. And, as I said last week when I talked about the 10 bummers of being an atheist, like, yeah, it is kind of a bummer not believing in that stuff. But because I don't believe in that, and I just believe in the science of all of it, to me, I can just spend all day looking at the science of it and being amazed. I'm already amazed enough. Like, I don't really even need to be any more amazed. Like, I'm already just so amazed just thinking that, like, it takes light 100,000 years for starlight to go from the farthest end of our galaxy to the other end. It takes 100,000 years. That to me is just like mind-boggling. Or even just like the stars in the Big Dipper, that there's light we're seeing in the Big Dipper that's over 100 years old, and we're just seeing it now. I think about that and I just think, like, man, we're just so small. We're just like on this tiny speck. The earth is really just this tiny speck. And then just like the tragedy of it, the tragedy that our lives are just so fleeting. And then what do we do with it? We bitch about the economy, or we vote for assholes because of egg prices, or we want to like plow the rainforest down so that we can have more stuff. It's just, I think we have a wasted opportunity here. I think we have a beautiful opportunity here on this earth to like have like just this utopian life. We really do. And we're just like pissing it all away. Like because we can't come together as a species. I think mankind was created way too smart. Like, we're just too smart for our own good. And so, like, it's just really hard for us to get along. And I know I'm getting way off topic, but, like, when I think about how, as you were saying, like, how huge and magnificent and amazing the planet is and the universe and the stars and everything, like, I totally agree with you. I just keep going back to, like, and then look at what we do with it. Like, it's just like, it's a shame that we just can't really appreciate, like, the fact that we're just here for this one moment. I mean, as an atheist, I truly believe when I die, I will cease to exist. My body will break down and nourish other things, but my thoughts will stop, and it'll be like I was never here. So for me, being an atheist, like, is actually a very spiritual thing, because it really forces me to try and appreciate my time while I can. And I think when people feel like they have all this bonus time in heaven, like, I don't know, then maybe it makes them not appreciate their time here as much. And that's sad to me. You know, so anyways, sorry to get so off track, but I really love your question. It just reminds me of how amazing the universe is. I love just thinking about all the stuff that you talked about, like just about how magnificent everything is. So thanks for making me think about it. All right, let's see what else.
Hello, Daniel. You said that you were very upset after the election and you wanted to scream all day long. I know you said that you have since calmed down, but is there anything right now that's happening in the world, particularly that makes you want to scream the most? I know there's so many things that are upsetting many of us. What do you think the number one thing that makes you want to scream is right now? Every single time it comes up, you find yourself wanting to scream. Thank you. I love the podcast. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Aw, thank you so much. I'm so glad you like the podcast. That's really nice to hear after all this negative stuff that I just talked about. Oh my God, there's so much that makes me want to scream. And I do, like, I get pissed off all the time. I was so pissed off when Trump got reelected that I threw a chair across the room, and I literally was like screaming. And I kind of had a couple months where I basically unfriended people, I blocked people. I had to get that anger out of my system. And, you know, I've since calmed down, but I get pissed off about stuff all the time because there's so much fucking injustice. But I think the thing that makes me want to scream the most is that I sometimes feel powerless. That feeling of being powerless, that feeling of like, you see all this stuff because it's not just one specific thing. It's so much corruption. It's so much blatant hypocrisy. It's so much blatant grandstanding and bullshit and, you know, trampling all over our democracy and false information and people just lapping it up like it's the most delicious sewer water they ever fucking tasted, and they can't get enough of it, and it's just all lies, and yet people take those lies and they use it as fodder for how they vote, and so much bullshit. Demonizing gay people, demonizing trans people, demonizing Black Lives Matter, demonizing independent women, demonizing anything that's different. Yeah, all of it makes me want to scream. But I think the main thing that makes me want to scream is just when I feel powerless. But, you know, I think that is kind of what instigated this podcast. This podcast may seem silly and it may seem ineffectual, but you know what? It's one more person speaking up. And I think if we all speak up, it's powerful. You know, it can't just be one person. And so, you know, I'm happy to just be like one more voice, hopefully, of a bunch of voices. And, you know, it helps. It helps. It makes the screaming in my head quiet down a little bit. Every single time I film one of these podcasts, I feel like I get a bunch of stuff out of my system. I openly admit this is kind of like therapy for me. So, you know, answering your question, you know, yeah, I want to scream a lot. But right now, actually, after I've been blabbing, I'm feeling a little more calm. So, yeah. All right. What else?
Hi, Dan. It's Scott, Funeral Party Scott.
Oh.
You know, I saw the apocalyptic meme for your new show and the far right. It would be interesting to discuss AI, not just like the implications of what it will have as creative artists,
Yes.
but what it means for like Palantir and kind of this whole crazy 1984 narrative, and the fact that the far right are now in control and all that's coming down the pipe.
Uh-oh, I think he got cut off. This has been happening to people. Oh, I think he got cut off. Well, okay, just a little bit of backstory. That is one of my oldest friends in the world, Scott. We were in a band together back when we were in junior high. I literally, one of my oldest friends in the world, Scott. He's an amazing drummer. He's an amazing musician. And Scott, I'm just so thrilled that you called up the podcast. That means the world to me. You know, I love you so much, and I'm so grateful for your friendship, and I miss you. And I'm so glad that we got to connect a couple months ago on the phone, and we hadn't talked in a long time, and it was so nice. We ended up having like a 3-hour or 4-hour long conversation because we had not talked in forever, and we ended up talking about all sorts of stuff. But I absolutely like love this guy, and hopefully we can do some more music together at some point. I would love that. That would mean so much to me. But to answer your question, AI, yeah, it's really fucking scary. You know, do I think there are some good uses for AI? Absolutely. I think that, like anything, what starts out as a good concept, bad people get their hands on it, and then they do bad things with it. And, you know, already we've seen like fake news stories. We've seen fake photos, fake video. We've seen all this stuff. It's a propaganda person's wet dream. We live in a world now where people can literally create fake videos. They can create fake music. There's books being published that are all written by AI. People are putting their names on books and acting like they wrote a book when all they did was type in some fucking prompts. And they didn't fucking write anything. I'm sorry. If you typed in some prompts into an AI search engine, you're not an author. You're somebody who knows how to type in prompts. As a musician, I've been trying to get my music placed on TV and film, and a lot of music supervisors, you know, they don't want to use AI now. But, you know, later on when money gets tighter, will they be going to AI then? I mean, it's something I worry about. I worry that even like the art of creating music or creating art, or, you know, like somebody creating a painting, I worry about what it's going to do to creative people, but then I absolutely worry about what it's going to do to public life. Because, you know, if we have people who are already so gullible that somebody like Donald Trump, all he has to do is say, oh, it's fake news. It's fake news. And they accept it at face value when it's real news being reported. And then all he has to do is say it's fake news. And so then they just believe him. Now, those same people, you can show them some photo that's not even real or show them some video that's not even real, and they just believe it. There's been these entire Facebook pages. I saw this Facebook page recently that I was just like, God, what is the fucking point of this? It was this story of the Holocaust and these Holocaust survivors. And I was reading it and I was looking at the photo and I'm like, that's not a real photo. And the story wasn't even a real story. It was this clickbait thing about the Holocaust. And it was all AI. And it was some Facebook page that was just trying to get followers. And they were just like posting fake stories about the Holocaust. I mean, you see shit like this all the time now. I mean, there's like thousands of pages that are just posting fake bullshit. And then you see all these people commenting. It's like, you guys realize this is all fake. None of this is real. I mean, it's almost like this experiment to just see how gullible people can be. Because there must be a reason for it. Because I see these fake AI stories all the time. And I don't know, it's really scary, because what's scary is how many people still believe it. Like, that's the thing that scares me. So yes, I agree. AI, for all the good that it could do, there's so much bad. I don't have any answers. I'm just some guy doing a podcast. But what I will say is I agree with you. I think it's important for us to be talking about it. I think it's important for us to keep bringing it up as much as possible, that so much of what people are seeing now is fake news. It's going to get harder and harder to differentiate the real from the false. And that scares me. It really scares me. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I think we have one more call. And again, thanks to everybody for hanging out with me this long.
Daniel, it's Brad from NYC. And I want to say that I finally had the pleasure of listening to your wonderful podcast, There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die. Even the title of it just delights me. Your voice is full of melodic tones and humor and color and warmth. It's somewhere maybe between Pee Wee Herman and Kermit the Frog, but a more intelligent and vibrant version of both. Congratulations. I'm so aware of how prolific you are as a composer, how prolific you are as an artist. It always blows me away. And then you go and start a whole new craft with this podcast. And so my question for you is, how do you do it? I live a creative life. I try to invest my creativity in all kinds of things, but I'm always just floored by not only how much you're able to do, but the depth and breadth of what you're able to do. And I know that you face lots of obstacles in your life while trying to do these things, and yet you do always shoulder on. So that's my question. How do you do it? How do you get this all done?
Cocaine! No, I'm only kidding. Crystal meth! No, I don't do any drugs or anything. How do I do it? That is a wonderful question. How do I do it? It's not easy. I'll openly admit. Actually, this question actually brings up a bunch of stuff that's been stressing me out lately. It's not easy. It isn't. It is a lot. I actually really push myself. I am constantly doing stuff. There's this expression, if you love what you do for work, you'll never work a day in your life. And I'm not quite there yet. I think that what you're probably seeing is me desperately wanting to have a life where I don't have to work any side hustles, where I can just do my music, my art, and do stuff like this podcast. Right now I do a lot of other stuff to earn money, because on top of doing music and on top of doing art and taking care of my handicapped dogs and staying sober and doing this podcast, I have a full-time job with a company. I'm very grateful. It's a company I've been working for forever. I'm not going to bring them into this, but they're wonderful people. They're like family to me. Then I have a bunch of freelance clients that I design websites for. And then I do a bunch of other things too. I do art fairs and I do all sorts of stuff. And then I'm trying to fix up this house. It's a lot. I live one of those lives where if I'm not doing something, there's something I could be doing. My to-do list is always really unrealistic. I make these to-do lists that are like, solve world peace. My to-do lists are usually about 25 items long, and I'm lucky if I get to half of them during a day. So like stuff's constantly getting pushed back to the next day and the next day and the next day. But one of the things I will say is I do show up. I think how I do it is, first of all, everything that I'm truly passionate about, I want to do. Like, so this podcast, I always look forward to doing these. It's a joy to do them. It's a joy to communicate with people because, again, I'm a gay liberal atheist living out in the Bible Belt. And I do have friends here. I do have a family of friends. I do have wonderful people around me. I do have a community here, but I'm alone a lot. I work alone. A lot of what I do is very isolating. The life of a musician is not all jam sessions and, playing out at clubs. And most of it is just like me sitting in front of my computer mixing music, and it's very isolating. Making my art is very isolating. Sometimes I will go to drawing clubs and stuff, but a lot of times I'm just working at my house, working on my art. Doing this podcast is just me in this room with some lights, and it's very hot and I can't run the air conditioner, so it's like 100 degrees in here, and I've been talking for 2 hours and this shirt is literally sticking to me. I think that how I do it is it's just stuff that I believe in and I love to do. And so for now, I'm still able to show up and do it. Who knows if I'll still be able to be this busy when I'm 56 now. When I'm 66, when I'm 76, when I'm 86, when I'm 96, I don't know. I would love to live a long, 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 long life. I'm 56 now. If I could have another 56 years and die when I'm 112, I would be psyched. Because I would want to be one of those people in their hundreds who is still out there doing stuff. I don't see myself ever really retiring. I don't have the money to retire. I see these other people and they have these 401ks and stuff. I didn't live a life like that because I was fucked up for so long and I was drinking for so long and living like a nomad and flying by the seat of my pants and whatever. I'm lucky to have a little nest egg right now, but it's not a big nest egg. And so it's certainly not one that I could retire. So it scares me. I think one of the other reasons why I'm so busy all the time is because I know that for a guy like me, if I were to retire, and settle down somewhere and like have some house out in the woods by a lake or something where I could take a kayak out every morning and have my coffee out on the lake. That's kind of a fantasy of mine. I know if I ever was gonna have that type of life, I would have to earn a lot more money. You know, there's part of me that's hoping that one of these things that I do, like be it like me doing music or trying to get my songs placed on TV and film, or me selling art, or me doing this podcast, that something somewhere will lend itself to me, I don't know, like being able to do what I love to do and make enough money that I could retire someday. But I don't really see that happening. I don't think it's very realistic. So I've also kind of embraced the fact that I might just be one of those people who wanted to retire and have a nice old age resting, but that I might never get to do that. And I might just be somebody who has to be this guy for the rest of his life and be creating all this stuff. And I mean, there's worse fates in the world. So that answer was all over the place, I realize. I guess to shorten it and give you the Cliff Notes version, how do I do it? I do it because it's what I love to do. You know, so much of what I do, I show up because it's just stuff that I truly love to do. I love making music, I love making art, and I love doing this podcast. It's all stuff that gives me joy. And I hope that it will afford me the opportunity to continue doing it and do it more and more, because it truly is a joy and a pleasure. And I get to communicate with people like you and hear your lovely voicemail and your ruggedly handsome voice. And I know that you're ruggedly handsome in person, covered in tattoos like me. I actually know the person who called up and left that message. So yeah, anyways, thank you for calling. And thank you everybody who called. And thank you everybody who listened. I think we're at the end of the show. I can't believe it. I have talked about so much stuff. We covered so much stuff. I'll be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to end the show. Just to recap, go to danielcartier.com. Right on the homepage, there's a button where you can press it. It'll take you to and you can leave me a voice message that way. You can go find me on Facebook, facebook.com/thereisnogod and we're all gonna die, and you can follow me there. You can leave me a voice message there by using the Facebook Messenger app, or you can go to speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all gonna die. If you want to watch this on YouTube, I highly suggest it. The YouTube has a bunch of really fun graphics, and it's just, I don't know, you get to watch me with your eyes as well, or as Sarah Silverman says, with your eye holes. So anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I love you, even if you hate me because I'm gay or liberal or atheist. I love you, and I'm glad that you hung out with me for this time. And yeah, I will see you next week. All right. Thanks, you guys. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God, there's just you and I.